Oh my god.
Questions to ask a guy game. What the fuck?
Ask him. Anyways.
Hold on, I'm gonna send it. 'Cause these are good questions, or at least some of them are, most of them, but the other ones are like, this isn't what I came for.
Mm-mm-mm. Anyway, good morning and welcome to the Powerpuff Babes podcast, episode 6. As we mentioned last Friday, we are going to be continuing our work stories today. They were super funny last Friday, and we want to know all of the tea as well today. Since it's a Monday, not everybody likes Mondays, especially since you have to go back to school, back to work, and it's boring as hell. But here we are to make it a little bit better for you. So, ladies, any other crazy stories you got from work?
That picture of Selena Gomez. Sorry. Yes.
Okay, yeah, you go first. Mine's is not that not that crazy.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave this most recent job alone for now, as much as I would love to rant for hours on how much that place was a shit show. So this is a job that I had prior to that one. So basically I worked at it was like a kind of like a doggy daycare kind of thing. Kind of like people would bring their dogs for like however long, whether they were there for the day or like for, weeks or whatever. Like if people went on vacation, they would like leave their dogs there kind of thing. That's kind of what it was. And so basically when I first got there, it was me, this girl that I went to school with. I don't know what's up with me and finding jobs that people I have gone to school with had at the time. I don't know. But there was this girl I went to school with, these two guys that were brothers, a third guy that was their brother that would show up sometimes, and then another girl that was kind of like my manager. And her mom was like the kind of overall manager, so to speak. So very tight knit, very close. So should have been the first sign that I probably should have just like ignored my mom on that recommendation and found somewhere else, but it's fine. So basically, long story short, the job wasn't too bad. It was very interesting. Like you could tell because everyone was friends. The girl I went to school with was dating one of the brothers. Funny enough, she's now dating the other brother. Anyways, and the third brother was dating my manager-ish, so to speak. So you could tell that because they all were like friends and close and dating each other and yada yada, that like they weren't really, doing anything. So when I got there, it was kind of like I really bonded with kind of the other employees because it was kind of just like, you guys are obviously very close, and like they would take specific dogs out, but they wouldn't take the other ones out, and they would leave those to us. They would take the dogs that would like be able to go swimming and the dogs that, they could just do whatever with. So basically, the first part of it was like, it was fine, it was okay, like the job wasn't too bad, I enjoyed it, except when it got to summer and that bitch was hot as fuck because Texas. A lot of the part of the like kennels and stuff were outside. There was like an inside and outside, so like obviously you clean the inside but you also had to clean the outside, and that had to be like in the sun and shit. Like very few of them were like in the shade, which really sucked. But it wasn't too bad. It was a fun job. But the manager I had, the daughter of like the overall like whatever, she had to go. Oh, there was another girl that was like friends with the manager. Sorry, I forgot about her. Doesn't really matter, but yeah. She had to go back to school. So they obviously needed to hire someone else, to come in and be a manager. So that's where we get to where things went to shit. So introducing Sarah. It's not her name because I can't remember it because I completely blocked this lady out of my memory. Like, I can't remember her name at all. Like, that's how much I was like, fuck this bitch. But we're gonna call her Sarah. So basically, Sarah gets there and off rip, she's changing everything. She's changing the rules. She's changing how we do things. She's changing the scheduling of how we feed the dogs, how we walk them, how we take them out, who takes them out, how long they take them out. Like she put restrictions on everything that wasn't there prior to that. and we were doing just fine. Like, there was no reason for her to change like half of what she did. Some of it guaranteed was pretty nice, but the rest of it was like, dude. So it's summer, it's hot as fuck, you know, you don't really want to go outside, whatever. She comes in and, you know, like, the manager before her never had any complaints about me. Never, you know, was like, you're not doing this right, you're not doing this right, you're doing this too slow, like, yada, yada, yada. She gets there, and all of a sudden, I'm not cleaning the kennels fast enough. And I was like, oh, really? And she was like, yeah, you're one of the slowest people that cleans. And I was like, first of all, that's not true. And then on top of that, she was like, you're doing it wrong. And I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm taught. So if it's wrong, you need to tell the other people, because they're all going to be doing the shit the same way. And so, like, I'm doing this shit as fast as I can with the way I was told to do it. Like, I don't really know what you want from me. So she, like, whole time she's like bitching and moaning about how I'm not doing shit correctly, and I'm just getting more and more annoyed with her. I'm like, bitch, you just got here and you're already riding my dick. Like, there's no reason. So then I come to find out that, like, later on, the girl, she comes back, I guess, to like visit her mom or whatever. She like works for a little bit. I guess it was a break or something, I can't recall. And she's like, I get called to like the front or whatever, like the main area, and both of them are up there, and they're like, yeah, like, you know, she was just telling me that, you know, she thinks you do things too slow, and like, you know, this is just kind of like a little verbal warning, yada yada yada. And I was like, oh, really? So why didn't she tell me this before she left, that she thought I was doing things too slow or wrong? Why is she waiting until you're here to tell me that I'm doing it wrong? And I was like, okay, you know what, whatever, fuck y'all, that's fine, whatever, I'll do shit faster, fuck y'all, whatever. So anyways, I do shit the way I'm supposed to, supposedly, whatever. And she is just progressively worse. Like, I'm annoyed that she's already changed so much shit. So I'm like, okay, dude, like, you know, I'm biting my tongue, but like, you're really fucking annoying, especially with like the fact that you're on me, and as far as I know, no one else. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know what's up with this. So basically, like, because of her, and I think it was more that the other girls like had gone back to school, but like the brothers, like, one of them dipped the fuck out. Like, the one of the brothers was a manager, and the other one, like, the girl was a manager. The one that wasn't a manager, like the youngest brother that was dating the girl that I went to school with, he just kind of like dipped out. He was like, basically, he felt like me, but he had the luxuries to dip. So because she was changing shit and he didn't like it, he left. Soon after that, the girl that I had gone to school with, she left. Or she like wasn't there that much. And so it was me, this brother and sister, these two brothers. At that point, they had gotten hired soon after that, because obviously we needed employees. And then the middle brother and I think that was it. And so basically, one of the days I hear, like, okay, so the new lady, she's like, she does a lot. Like, she's constantly moving. And so I don't know if she like never put on deodorant or like needed a better hygiene kind of thing. But there were a lot of days that, you know, you'd walk past her and like you could visibly tell that it was her. Like, she smelled so bad. Like, it's hot, it's Texas, it's summer, like, take precautions, because like she smelled really bad. So I'm talking to like the employees that are like still there, like my coworkers, the ones that I'm like really chill with, and I'm talking to them. We're like filling food bowls, because like we like would do that shit like all together, and then like a couple of us would go take it out while the rest of it, the other people would like do other shit. And so they tell me that she told them that I was the one who smelled. Like, she told them, a grown woman was telling teenagers that I was the one that smelled, when it was like obviously her. And it was like, okay, like, now I'm like even more like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, you're already on me, and now you're telling people false things about me. when people can tell it's you. Like, I was like, she's telling y'all it's me, and they were like, yeah, and they were like, but we know it's her. Like, it was a funny ass conversation because like everybody knows it's her. So the fact that she like tried to play that shit off and was like, oh yeah, no, it's you, was just like, okay, like sure, we'll go there. We'll let you have your little moment. It's fine, like whatever. So at this point, I'm like, I'm over her. She's changing shit. She's being annoying as fuck, and she's blaming stupid shit on me. And I'm like, cool, whatever. So I have a funeral to go to, and it was gonna take 3 of my shifts because it was out of town and it was like over the weekend. And so I'm like, I texted her and I was like, hey, I have something to talk about when I come in. And she was like, okay, cool. So I come in and like I like pull her aside and I'm like not really wanting everybody like all up in my business and shit. So I was like, hey, like we have like this little side room where we kind of like when dogs first get brought in, we like weigh them and stuff so we can just like if anything goes wrong, we can tell their like owners or whatever, like, hey, like they lost weight. Like when they come in and when they leave, we like we keep track of, you know, how much they weighed, like, you know, their belongings and stuff like that. So I pull her aside into that room. Everybody else is doing other shit. And I was like, hey, so I have a funeral that I need to go to. Very close family member. Like, you know, like okay, well, let me put it into perspective. Let me not tell one side of the story. So I did a couple times because she had pissed me off and I knew she was going to be working that day. I like didn't show up, but I also didn't call in. So at this point I've done that like one time and then another time I came in late. So like it wasn't that late. It was like maybe like 15 minutes. But I had to take a long way because like I can go the back way, but they had like a really weird like pothole situation going on for a little bit, so I had to take the long way. And there was like hella traffic that day for some reason. So kind of my fault. Should have left earlier. Not really my fault because I didn't know. But anyways, so she's like mad as fuck that I like didn't call in, which fair enough because I know that fucks up the whole rotation of shit. Fine. But she's also mad that I like showed up late and I was like, look, I don't really know what you want me to tell you. Like one way was borderline blocked off and the other way had hella traffic. So anyways, so I pull her aside and I'm like, hey, there's a funeral, close family member, like I need to take these days off. Like I know that like I was supposed to work and it's like low staff, whatever, but like I need somebody to cover me. Like there's like I can't just not go to this funeral. Like this is someone really close to me. And she literally tells me that I need to get a note from my mother to give to her that I'm actually going to a funeral.
See,
and at this point, I'm like, excuse me? You want written confirmation from my mother that I'm going to a funeral?
Like, I get it why they want the confirmation and whatnot, but it's just not right. Because it's like, why would anybody use a funeral as an excuse not to go to work?
Like, extremely fucked up. And I'm like standing there flabbergasted. I'm like, I didn't hear correctly, right? Like, there's no way I heard you just tell me to get my mom to write a note. Like, you're the fucking school and I need to go to the doctor or some shit. Like, no. So she like says some offhanded shit and I'm like, okay. So she puts out the schedule for the next week, which that weekend would have been like the weekend after would have been like the weekend of the schedule, and I'm on the schedule. And I was like, first of all, I just told you like hella in advance that I'm gonna need that weekend off. And so I go up to her and I'm like, hey, like you put me on the schedule, like I thought I told you that like I'm not gonna be in town. Like regardless of whether you put me on this bitch, I'm not gonna be in town. So how about we both save ourselves the trouble of having people think I'm going to be coming in when I'm not even going to be in town? Because now you're going to have my coworkers trying to hate me when, like, that's just not going to happen. Like, I'm not about to be the fucking scapegoat here for whatever the fuck you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, well, I told you, like, for me to take you off the schedule, I'm going to need the note from your mom. And I was like, are you fucking dead ass right now? Like, the only way you're going to take me off the schedule is if you get a note from my mom. And I was like, you know what? you know what, fuck you. So I came in for the next like week, and then that weekend I just didn't show up. I didn't give her the note for my mom. I didn't do any of that shit. And she texts me and she's like, it's extremely unprofessional that like you didn't show up, this, that, and the third. And I was like, look, I'm out of town. It's an emotional time. I'm gonna need you to save this shit for when I get back, minus the shit. I was like, we can talk about this when I get back. Like, I'll be back Monday. Like I work Tuesday. When I come in, we'll talk about it. And she was like just going off on me in the messages. She was like, I can't believe you would do this. Like, I scheduled you. Like, you should have told me. And I was like, I did. And I stopped responding. So I get there Tuesday, and she's like, she pulls me aside and she's like, I just think it's so rude that, you know, like I was scrambling to get my shit together, and, you know, I had to call people in, and there were people that weren't supposed to be working because, you know, so I had to rearrange the whole schedule. And I was like, I told you a week in advance that I was not going to be in town, that I was not going to come in, that I had a funeral. I told you when you put me on the schedule to take me off because I was not going to be here and I was not going to come in. And she just really tried to blame me like I hadn't told her. And I was like, that's false, because I know we also had a text conversation. So this shit is also in somewhere that you can't hide it, because whether you tried to delete it or not, I didn't. There, I have responses from you. Like, so if you want to take this shit up, we can go to the manager right fucking now, and I'm gonna let her know that you're bullshitting. And so all of a sudden she flips the script and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, you know, it's fine, like, I'm so sorry, like, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, say fucking less, right? So that's all it takes is for me to have proof and
For you
like to
have
threaten to
proof,
go to
yep.
the manager. All right, say a word, say less, say less. The next day I get there and I slap, like, she's sitting on the that we have like a metal table. I hit this bitch hard as fuck. We have a metal table, and that's like where we were like filling dog bowls and all that shit.
Oh, you hit the table. Oh, okay.
So yeah, I hit the table, sorry. So I come in and I have the program from the funeral, and I slap that bitch on the table like hard as fuck. The table rings, the shit echoes, my coworkers like jump. Like, I hit this bitch hard, like she pissed me off.
Yeah.
So I slap it on the table and I was like, here's your proof.
Ooh,
Since you don't want to believe me, here's your proof that I had a funeral. So if you want to be any more disrespectful, now you can take it up with my mother. And she was like, no, like, it's okay, like, I believed you, like, I'm sorry I put you on the schedule, it was a lapse in judgment. And I was like, right, yeah, lapse in judgment, all right, whatever. So I take the program and like I put my shit away, and my coworker like comes in, like one of my like the coworker I was like really fucking with. I fucking love this dude. He comes into the back and he was like, what the fuck just happened? And I was like, I laughed my ass off because I was like, she looked scared as fuck when I hit the table, because she turned around and like she wasn't looking at me when I hit the table.
Oh, she was like
funny
looking at
as
her
fuck.
paperwork or whatever.
Yeah, she had her back turned and was like doing something else. I don't remember what she was doing at the time. I think she was getting the meds together for the dogs that like obviously had to take their medication. And like the counter that had the like the cabinets that had the meds, like her back would have been to the table. I don't remember what she was doing, but I'm pretty sure it was that, because where she was standing. And like she jumped and turned around, and so he was like, you good? And I told him all the shit that happened, and he was like, that's fucked up. Like, regardless of whether you no called, no showed the one time, came in late, whatever, like there was no reason for her to be that disrespectful. And I was like, that's what I said. I was like, yeah, I apologized also for not coming in. I was like, look, like, it's just, it is what it is. I told the other manager, who also didn't like her, I was like, I'm sorry I didn't come in. Like, I saw that she was going to be here for the like the most of the day, and I was like, I can't fucking do it. And he was like, I apologized to him, and I was like, I'm sorry, that was like completely unprofessional, like, whatever. And he was like, honestly, it's fine. He didn't even give a fuck, because he didn't like her. Like, nobody really liked her. But I know he didn't, because he said some offhanded shit, like borderline real fucked up shit when she wasn't in the room. But I was like, I'm gonna let it slide. And that's none of my business. You can take that up with her. I have my beef. And I said my beef out loud, like with her in the room. Like, she walked in and I was talking shit. And like, you know how people, like, when you talk shit about them, they walk in the room, you get quiet and shit. Yeah. I just like continued the conversation.
You just continued the conversation.
Yeah, my coworkers were like looking at her. They were looking back and forth between me and her, and I just kept talking.
They're like,
yo,
and then you're just right like, behind me. You're just ranting.
Yeah, they saw her come in, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck. This bitch can be breathing down the back of my neck, and I'm gonna continue this conversation. But their responses obviously were more lackluster than when she wasn't in the room, because when I was saying shit and she wasn't there, they were like, oh yeah, fuck her. And then she came in and they were like, damn, that's crazy. And I was like, y'all are so fucking, bro, get out of here. This shit had me dead. But no, so at that point, I'm like over the fucking job. Like, it's bullshit at this point. I'm like, this girl's fucked up. Like, she's pissing me off. I don't like her. Now we have like hella beef at this point. I'm like, you are a grown woman and I am at the time, 17-year-old. Why do we have beef? Like, what are you beefing with a 17-year-old for? Like, what are your issues? So basically, at that point, it's getting worse and worse. Like, I'm getting more like every time I wake up and I check the schedule and she's on it, I'm like, hell no. So there's a couple more times that I no call, no show. I know I'm fucking horrible. Whatever. I'm gonna say it out here out loud right now. I'm telling both sides of the story. There were a couple more times that I just didn't come to work. I like didn't tell anybody. I was like, fuck it. So I come in another day and my favorite coworker, he's like, at this point, the other manager has quit. He's like completely gone. He's like, fuck this bitch, I'm out of here. She's changing everything. I don't like this job. Like, none of my friends are here. My brothers aren't here. Whatever. He dips. He's gone. So it's just her at this point, which I know made me not coming to work even worse. Whatever. We'll get past that point. I know. Hindsight 2020, like, very unprofessional. I know. I get it. I'm not the best. I'm not a saint. I never will claim to be. But so I come to work and he's like next in line to be manager. So he's getting told all this shit. Like, she was thinking about promoting him. He's already had a promotion because him and his sister have been there a while. They've had a raise. He got like a little bit of a promotion kind of thing where he just like got to do more. Like, they had been there for a while. So he was like next in line to be manager now that I'm not going to say names of this job, now that the other manager had quit. And so basically he pulls me aside. Well, not necessarily pulls me aside, but kind of like to the edge of the table. Like, we're just talking, we're chilling. Like, it's like we had just gone outside, so we're hot. We're like sitting in the room. It's hot as fuck. We're just waiting. And she comes in, she says some shit. She looks at me, I glare the fuck back at her, and I'm like, what, bitch? Like, I will fight you right here, right now, and I will walk out. Like, I won't come back. Like, I will, these hands are rated E. Like, come at me. Say one sideways thing. I was so ready to fight her. Oh my god, between her and Liv, bro.
Oh my god.
Liv would have caught these hands. Like, straight up. But this other bitch, Sarah, would have been backhanded, and that would have been that. I would have pimp slapped the fuck out of her and walked out. Liv would have been beaten to the fucking ground. Like, yeah. If that just lets you know how much I hated them and on what severity that I hated them, Liv was way fucking worse. I would have boxed this bitch without gloves right here, right now. She would have said some shit. Boom. Sarah would have just gotten backhanded. If she looked at me the wrong way, I was ready to backhand her. But if she said some shit, like, it would have happened. She didn't say anything. She kind of walked in. She said some shit to him about the job, whatever. She walked out of the room to go do something else. And he looks at me and he was like, dude. And I was like, what? Like it was borderline like bitch type gossip shit. And I was like, what? I was like, I was ready to hear the tea. And he was like, dude, she told me that she's thinking about firing you. And I was like, let her. I was like, I am so over this job. It's fine. Like, let her fire me. I don't even care at this point. I'm just trying to keep this job so my mom gets off my back. If she fires me, I'll have more time to be like, Mom, I got fired. Oh no, my favorite job ever. And then look for someone else. Whatever. So basically, he's like telling me all the shit that she told him about how like she was like fed up and there was too much tension and then me not coming to work and things were just getting hard for her, yada, yada, yada. I was like, half of that I was sympathetic to because my fault, whatever. The rest of that shit, she started over it. I was like, I'm not gonna let you bitch to somebody else and make yourself the victim when you started the shit about the funeral in the first place. Like, I told you I had somewhere to be. I had a prior commitment, and you were just real sideways about it, regardless. So I was like, why would you do that? Somebody says funeral, you're not supposed to be like, give me a note. But whatever, I digress. So I'm like, cool, you know what? Whatever, let her fire me. So I go do my job, whatever. So I had PSAT test like studies thing that my mom signed me up for. And then we were going out of town for like something else. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, like a couple weeks had gone by, maybe like 3 weeks. I had like come to work on time every day. I had a good attitude. Like shit was looking up for me. Like she wasn't doing any more shit. I was actually having fun with the job again. Like the coworkers were great. Like the twins were cool. The siblings were great. Like it was great. And she stopped coming at me weird and sideways, whatever. So I'm having fun, you know, happy to come to work again because, you know, I get to see puppies all fucking day. Like, hello, sweetest baby beans ever. So like one of my best jobs I've ever liked. But so I'm like happy as fuck. I get to go see because there was this really cute fucking. He is who put the love of fucking like bloodhounds in my soul. His name was Hank, and he was the sweetest fucking bean. And he was this old man, and he was so droopy and wrinkly, and I was like, I love you. Like every morning, like he could tell when we would get there, so you would just hear him in the back barking, and you know how they have that really like signature bark?
Yeah.
And so you would just hear him, and I was like, my baby. Oh my god, I love bloodhounds because of him. Just oh my god, he was the sweetest little bean ever. Anyways, regardless of that, I have nothing to do. I could talk about those dogs for days, bro. But so basically, so I get there one day and I'm just like chilling, whatever, and it's like real tense for some reason, and I was like, I don't know what I did because I've been good these last few days, whatever, or last few weeks. Like, okay, whatever. So I do my shit. You know, like it had gotten to the point where like she called me like one morning when I was on my way to work, and she's like, hey, I'm gonna be late, like can you do the meds? Like shit that's not really supposed to happen, but like we had gotten to a point where it was like a little bit better, like whatever. And so I was like, yeah, like I'll do the meds, whatever. So I was like not understanding where this like hostility that day was coming from. I don't know if she just had a bad day, whatever. I found out later that she was getting a divorce, like her and her husband were separating and shit. So that day had nothing to do with me. It was just kind of like she was moody to everybody, but at first I didn't know that, so I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like I haven't done shit this whole time. I've just been here. But she was going through some shit. Anyways, so I don't know if that was partially why the shit happened the way it did or what, but shit went down. So basically I had the PSA oh my god, what the fuck, PSAT testing, like little study thing, which was like my mom had already paid for it. It was like a non-refundable bullshit kind of thing, and it was going to take place during one of my like like work days. And then we were going out of town like the week after that, like literally like day of the week after that. So I was like, hey, like I need this day off, and then I'm gonna need like this week off. And I was like, just told her like when I would need it, like the times, and I was like, even on the day of like the testing, I was like, when it would have ended, there still would have been some of the work day, and I was like, I can come in after that, like I can go home, get changed, and come in, for like the end of the day, like do closing duties, whatever. But I'm gonna need like this week off. And she was like, flipped her shit, like I don't know why. She was like, basically was like, no, you're not gonna get this day off. You're not allowed to have that week off, yada yada. And I was like, well, my mom already paid for it, so I need that day off regardless. Like, I don't really know what you want me to tell you. And like that week, like it was like same shit as the funeral. I was like, I can't just not. Like this testing is about something for my future. Like this job will not be here in my future. And like I don't even remember why we were going out of town, but like family, whatever. So she like texts me back and she's like, no, like completely denies my off request. She messaged me on like the side, like it was like I put in the request and then she like messaged me on the side and was like, no. And I was like, well, I don't really know what you want me to do about that. Like it's gonna be the same shit where I'm just not gonna show up. And so she's like flipping the fuck out and she's like, no, like I'm not giving you the time off, this, there, that, and the third. And I was like, what the fuck? So I drop it for the time being. The next day I'm like, look, I'm like, I really need these days off, like whatever. And she messages me back and she's like, if you need these days off, then just like don't come into work at all. And I was like, what? She was like, I'm not gonna give you these days off, like I've already told you, like no. And I was like, okay, cool beans. So I talked to my mom and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And she was like, well, I guess, you know, we'll just do what we do and whatever. So the next day I tried again and I was like, look, I came into her at work and I was like, I need these days off. She's like, no. Later I went home, I messaged her and I was like, I need these days off. And she was like, you're not allowed to have these days off. I'm not giving you these days off. You're fired. In so many words. Basically was like, no, not giving you the days off and you're fired. And I was like, wow. Okay, like I get I wasn't the best employee. Like when you first got here, like I caused problems. And I get that I haven't like showed up a few times and I get we had the tension, which you started, but whatever. But like you're just gonna fire me because I have shit to do. Like, I mean, maybe because like I had my own car and shit, like I could have like I don't remember what the family vacation was about. I know it wasn't like something that important, but my mom was like, try to see if you can take off. So like I'm sure I probably could have been like, never mind, I won't do that. But like I do need like the testing day off regardless. But she just like straight up in the message, like this whole long paragraph back about how like she wasn't gonna give me the days off and she was just like over me, like asking for days off, even though I hadn't asked for anything off in between that and the funeral. And like me not showing up and yada yada yada, like just going off on a rant about shit. And then was like at the end was basically like, you're fired. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I messaged my mom, I texted her, and I was like, well, I have off. I have off for the testing and like for the study group, and I have off for like the family trip. And she's like, okay, cool. And I got home and she was like, what'd you do? Like, how'd you get off? And I was like, I got fired.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got off. I got fired.
You're like, do you want to hear the good news first, or do you want to hear the bad?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, so I can go, but when we get back, I'm unemployed. So yeah, but it was just like the way she did it was like so like borderline kind of like the lady that fired me before I got hired. Like over text, completely unprofessional. Like all I'm doing is asking for days off. And like that would have been like the last days off that I would have needed for a while, pending there was like no literal emergencies or anything like that. But like there was nothing in my schedule. Like that was the last of the shit. And then I was like, we're good. And she was like, absolutely not. You're fired. And I was like, okay, fuck me then. All right, fuck this job, because at this point, I don't even really care anymore. So, yeah. And I mean, the horror stories from that job aren't even that bad. Like I told you, the other one was like the shit show. That job was a shit show. This one wasn't that bad. It was just so much tension and shit. And she came at me sideways so many times. But like by the time she fired me, like I read the message and it was like, you're fired. And I was like, say less. And I was like, okay, cool. So like I came in that next day because I like still needed to come in, and I like said bye to all my favorite dogs, and I like said bye to my coworkers, and I like flipped her off behind her back multiple times that day. And then I left and I was like, all right, cool. And that was it with that job. Which I only feel bad partially because like I did love that job like a lot because I got to see dogs all day. Like who could complain? But yeah, it was just like that lady had some issues with me. Like from the start though. That's why I was like, I don't know what I did to you at the beginning. I know what I did to you at the middle and borderline the end, but like I don't know what I did to you at the start for you to have this much beef with me already.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is my work story of that job. The other one I'll leave alone, like I said, or we'll be here forever. So
Mo, do you have any stories that you would like to share?
I have one for possibly the future. That one's more like kind of personal because I used to work with my dad. But this
okay.
one's more like a volunteer type thing that I did a long time ago.
Okay, that works.
And I'm not gonna name the con either because I think it's pretty popular and I don't want to get called out.
Okay.
So at the time, management was fucking piss poor, man. Like, at first when they were getting everything together, everyone was so hyped about it, and they were hyping up how everything was gonna go smoothly and everything. So the first day, I forgot, like this was a while back. I don't remember too many details, but I remember. I remember we were getting settled. We were like looking around. You see all these shops, all being all set up, and everybody's so excited. Everybody's getting their plans together for the next few days. And I'm like, okay, cool. And the con, had hotels booked for us, so we were excited. And so as it came time to go to the hotel, found out that we hadn't exactly been booked in yet. Like they had scheduled the rooms, it's just that they didn't get the keys and they were waiting on the keys, and that was like an hour and a half wait. And everybody was dead tired. And at this time, I think JP was going to school, and he came with me to do volunteer stuff. So I remember he was stressing. He was like, I have school in the morning. I need to go to bed. And he was trying to get the keys, but he was like, he's the one who went to go get them. And I forgot exactly how it went down, but he needed the phone number of the person who scheduled the rooms, but he didn't really have it. But everybody, or they knew that he was going to be, that he was getting the keys for them. He was like, is it really that important? And they were like, well, no. And they're like, oh, he was like, okay, well, then give me the keys because everybody's waiting. Take the bus, get over there. And I wasn't supposed to, but I slept in the same room with JP just because, like, I didn't want to be in a whole other room. So I slept with all my guy friends and JP. Like, that's like a big no-no in the whole thing, but we didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
And then
Ooh,
the next day, the next day, I don't think they did their scheduling right, because the next day apparently was some car art parade that blocked the streets, and our hotel was like several streets down, like several blocks away from where this con was at. So we had to walk all the way down to the con, and then as we get there, and JP was supposed to go take a test, he's freaking out. He's telling me he can't find the ticket so he could go get his car and take his test. And I was like, fuck. I was like, all right. And I asked my friend, because my position was that we were at the door and we were checking badges so people can go in and out of the store, the store area. So I remember I was like, can you please like either have someone take my spot or like just stay right here. I won't be too long. I have to go and help him. He was like, okay. And I went running down these several blocks. This is like downtown Houston, mind you, like during the day, and it's traffic everywhere. And I'm freaking out. I've never like really ran around Houston before. I meant, yeah, you drive through, but running around, no, I've never done that, especially by myself, which was probably like the biggest no I could have ever done. And I run and I'm running and I'm like halfway down towards the hotel. And I think JP calls me. He goes, I think I found the ticket, but it's too late now. I can't take my test. And I was like, fuck.
Oh no.
So then I have to run all the way back to the hotel. And I'm tired. I am so dead tired. Nobody still helped my friend in the front take my spot. And I come back and they're like, did everything work out? And I was like, nah. And as throughout the day, this was like the first day. It's like, it's very busy, very packed, but it's not going to be as packed as like the second day. The second day was worse, but as everybody was like, oh yeah, it's going to run smoothly, whatever, like most of the employees or volunteers, whatever, they went off to do their like, to their little events so we were so short staffed. Everybody was on the radios like, does anybody have eyes on like these stores? Because people are supposed to be walking around, make sure nobody steals anything. And then I'm checking the door, and another friend of mine at the time was like, hey, can you stay here while I go to this event? And I was like, why don't you just stay here? Like, I know you probably got like this because people volunteered so they could get easy access to all the events. It's basically free. But the thing is that they left people so like understaffed. I didn't get to eat that day, or at least I didn't get to eat much. I ate for like 10 minutes at max. And then I had to go back to work, and I was like on my monthly, as I call it. So I was dead tired. And I was upset with my friend. I was like, "You're really gonna go? Like, really?" And I was sitting in a chair by the door so I could check the badges. Like, I wasn't standing. I was dead tired. This was like, I was already running around.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I mean, yeah, no, I think that's like the last time I talked to that friend." I was like, "Yeah, no, like." he's like, yeah, like this. I mean, that's what I really came for. I mean, I don't really have the money, so I came to volunteer. And I was like, so you're just gonna leave me here by myself, checking
Mm.
all these badges, and it's not even the busiest time yet. And he's like, I'm sorry, and like, no.
Mm-mm.
That's
So
crazy.
basically, the entire 2 days we were so understaffed, and like we got bitched at by the end of like the entire thing, and then um, I guess their apology, quote unquote, was like a free T-shirt at the end of everything, and I didn't even get to check the stores. I never got to check the stores that I wanted to check out, and
That's
then they
it?
have
A
like
free
this little
t-shirt?
arcade section. Yeah,
That's
a
dumb.
free T-shirt for 3 days. I was working 3 days. And I was so mad. I was like, everybody else got to, see everything and whatnot, see what they wanted to see, buy what they wanted to buy, play whatever games, because there's also an arcade section.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, no, like, I never got to do anything at all. And I was so upset. And then I was like, you know what? I never want to come back here again, like, ever. So I never did. I've heard that the management's a lot better now, but I would never go back.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I wouldn't go back either. That sounds like hell.
Yeah, that's
It-
ridiculous.
yeah, but that's his, mine's isn't that great. But yeah, that was mine.
A free t-shirt. That's like
A
the
free
dumbest
T-shirt.
apology ever.
A free
Right.
T-shirt. I think like a free lanyard, and I don't remember what else, but it was like nothing too like nothing I would still have to this day. Like I don't have anything from that
And the
day.
thing is, like, they yelled at you. You got bitched at for what? For other people leaving their stands. It shouldn't be like they shouldn't be like yelling at you. They should be yelling at the people that dipped. Literally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That was bullshit.
That was complete bull honky. What the heck?
Yeah,
Whoever you
apparently
are,
everything's
shame
better
on you.
now.
Whoever you are. You're lucky she's not saying your name, but shame on you.
You're lucky we don't know your identity.
Oh my god. That's dumb. Dude, I would be pissed. I would be
I
extremely pissed.
I still can't believe like I ran several blocks trying to get to the hotel. Like luckily like the end of the night, like they were able to bring the shuttle, whatever it's called, for the
Mhm.
hotel.
Mhm.
But in the morning that shit as soon as you wake up, you have to walk several blocks towards the center, like where they're hosting the con. And then I had to run. I was running and I ran like halfway and I was getting lost, so I had to go on Google Maps and it was a pain.
Mhm.
Never do that.
I know it's a
Like,
con.
just
I'm gonna find out who it is. Sorry.
no. You can find out who it is, but I don't
I'll
want you
find
to
out
say
on
the
my own. I won't say
name.
anything. But still.
Oh, okay.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Amen. Don't put me on a spot like that.
No, I would never. I would never. No, but that's real dumb, dude. A t-shirt for an apology. That's stupid. The fuck kind of apology is that?
Thing like the little buffet thing at the end, like obviously it's not enough for like everyone. Everyone gets like a little bit like a snack or something, and I was like,
Yeah. Mm-mm. No. Oh
probably
well.
missing details. But I think JP might remember some details, but I don't.
Well, I have a story, but it's more of like it okay, so it involves death of somebody. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying his name. But okay, so this was when I was working at my first job. Not saying names cuz I don't want to get called out. Um but at the time I had already gotten a promotion from like a regular employee to like a trainer type of thing. And in order for us to complete that trainer promotion, we had to go to another store, um and train new people there to basically just like help them out, get started, whatever, right? So it was myself for a certain area, and then one of each other area. So one, I believe I had, it was a friend of ours, a girl, she worked in the party area. It was I believe it was a girl for cash. Oh no, it was the manager. It was the manager of the cashier area, and it was one of the guys from the kitchen. So the manager gave us all a ride, and we got there. And the manager of that specific store that we went to, which was in Arlington, she gave us a tour um, of the store, because the store used to be a grocery store like way back, uh, and they had changed it to what it is now. So there was this one part, like something about this store like really got me creeped out when I first got there. And I was just like, whatever, it's probably just, the layout, because the layout is so completely different from our home store. So I was just like it's a little creepy, but I'll give it a chance. So we were doing our training stuff, and then all of a sudden the manager's like, hey, like let's go for a tour, like I want to show y'all some pretty hot spots of the store or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So we all went, and I remember, and I completely forgot about this one hallway until I was on the phone with with the guy from the kitchen. Um and he was like, "Yeah, do you remember this?" So we went past the manager's office, and like to the right, like if you just you keep walking to the right, there's like this really long hallway that is just like you keep walking, and it's just like nothing there. Like there's literally nothing there. There was no reason for that hallway to be there, and it was just
That's
really
creepy.
creepy. Exactly. I literally saw that, and I was just like, I don't
No,
know
hearing about
about
it sounds creepy as fuck.
like you just keep walking. You walk past the manager's office, and to the right, there's this like really long hallway, and there's literally nothing there. There's no like storage or anything, and it's just this really long creepy hallway. And I was just like, well, I don't know how to feel about that. They don't really need it, so why the fuck do they not just close it off? Anyway, so we keep walking, and towards the back, you like, as soon as you get to this certain spot, it's like dark. um you look to your right, and you see like this really like narrow staircase, right? So it's like only one person at a time can go up and down, which is creepy as hell. But you like, as soon as you go up, mind you, this is this is a store that should only have one floor. The back has two floors for some reason, but when you're looking outside, you don't think of it as two floors. And so when we got to the back and we went up, it's like a really dark room. um but when you like, we literally couldn't see anything, so we all had to turn on our flashlights from our phones to be able to see at least like a couple feet in front of us. um but we noticed that there was graffiti and like on like the walls and stuff, and there was this like really weird beam, like wooden beam. Was it wooden or was it metal? I can't remember. um but there was this like beam like on top on the ceiling, and it had the name, like all the walls had the name Floyd. And I was just like, what's going on here? I was like, I
Who the
don't
fuck
like
is Floyd?
this. So the manager of the store eventually told us like, yeah, so this is actually a resting place for what used to be a Kroger manager named Floyd. And he essentially hung himself there. And so we were just like, what? That's crazy. Well, fast forward, COVID time, right? Lockdown, everything happened, and that Arlington store essentially had to get closed down. So like they changed the locks, they locked everything down because the company couldn't pay for it. Um so the manager at the time there came over to our store to kind of help out. She was just a floater. So I'm gonna call her B. So B came over, and she was like, "Hey, like I'm here to help out with whatever." And I was like, what? Like, I thought you were going to be at your store today. She was like, no, like they changed the locks. They couldn't pay for the store. So everything that's in there is just going to go to like straight to trash. And I was like, dang, that sucks. And she goes, yeah. And then she goes, I'm really worried about Floyd. And I was like,
Huh?
who? Yeah, I was like,
What?
I completely forgot at this time. Like, mind you, it was like 2 years later, and I completely forgot of like who that was or whatever. And I was like, who? And then she goes, Floyd. And I was like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And she goes, oh, you haven't heard the story of my store? And I was like, the story of the huh? She was like the manager who, you know, in that one room. And I was like, oh my god, I completely forgot about that. And she goes, yeah, like, you know, because she has, I guess she's like a very softy person.
Mhm.
Mind you, she's like super honest with you though. She's like, she can be bitchy honest, and that's what I love about her. um but she was like, yeah, like I'm kind of worried, like I don't want him to feel like by himself or whatever. And because apparently she would go in there, talk, like go into the store, like open the store, and she would talk to him as if he were like alive or whatever.
Mm.
Just to kind of like, I guess to put in her words, she said she wanted to give his spirit like a sense of like he's still there, he still matters. And I completely forgot that he like was in that store like 2 years later.
Yeah.
um so then I was like, that's crazy, like I completely forgot he was there. And she was like, yeah, no, like he's still there, like there are times where I'll hear him like move things. And I was
Mm.
like,
Aw.
you're kidding. And she goes, no, he actually moves things. Like
Hell
if you
no.
would look at our cameras, you'll see that he'll move things like in the kitchen. um
Floyd can watch
Oh
the
my
I was like, he trying to get some pizza like at the end of the night? What's going on here?
What the fuck?
It was crazy, dude. She even showed me, I remember she showed me a clip because she like saved, like she had like recorded it on her phone. And it
Mhm.
was like, like we have this like big old spatula to pick up the pizzas. And she showed me that essentially like moved from one side of the table to the other. And I was like, yo,
Hell no,
I was like,
bro.
Floyd really trying to get some pizza at this point. I was like, bro. But yeah,
He's
no, I was
hungry.
like, dang. I was like, dang, that's crazy. So yeah, if you like, I looked it up and like I found multiple stories, but they all essentially said the same thing, that he was a Kroger manager at the time, because that store used to be a Kroger. Like it's next to a Kroger. Like they had it expanded, but I guess they couldn't keep up with like the whole payment, so they had to shut down at least half of it, so that half became what the store is now. But
Yeah.
but I was just like, dang, that's crazy, because like I remember like when I was talking to the guys that worked with me. I was like, we were just going through this, like everything we've gone through, and they were like, the one guy was like, hey, do you remember that store in Arlington, like we went to like do training or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do. And then he was like, do you remember the guy? And I was like the name of the guy. And I was like, no, I actually don't. So I started doing the research, and then that's when I remembered like the scary hallway that literally has nothing to do with, like there's nothing there. And that's like one of the things that I found super creepy at the time. I don't know if it's still there. I wonder if they closed it off. I hope they did, because it's like there's nothing there. They don't use it for anything.
Yeah.
um
Hallway.
yeah, it's a really
I
long
know.
hallway, like for what? It
It's like
literally
one of those
goes
rooms
nowhere,
where
I
you
don't
keep
think.
running and it doesn't stop.
Yeah, that's the thing. It makes you feel that way because like as soon as you go in, you see this long, and then it like turn, like you have that sharp turn, and then when you get to that turn,
Yeah.
there's nothing at the end of the hallway, and it's just like, bro, what the fuck is this doing here? But
Yeah,
it's
no,
just like, it's that hallway in that room upstairs. And like I said, what I found creepy about it was that there's two floors, but like if you're looking at it from outside, it doesn't look like it has two floors, and it's the one narrow staircase. Like only one
mm,
person can go up and down, like at the same time, or not at the same time,
at once.
at once, yeah. And it's just like this big old dark room with like the one beam, and you can't really see that far. You have to use your flashlight, and it's just creepy. And I was like, I
Yeah,
completely forgot about him.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, and see, the thing is, we've heard
fucking
stories about
terrifying.
him too, like from the people that used to like that worked there for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they would tell us stories of like how they heard things and how they saw things and blah blah blah. And I was just like, I I'm not a very skeptical person, but I kind of like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like if you tell me things, right? I'll be like, okay. Like I'll think of it as like I have an open mind, you know? So I'm not
Mhm.
completely like rejecting it, but I'm not also accepting it at the same time. And it's just like, I don't know, I have to see it for myself in order to believe.
Yeah. That's
That is
terrifying.
that is so scary.
I'm just like,
That
why
was
did he do that at the place?
I see, okay,
no.
no,
Why
no.
he keeps
It
going
wasn't
back?
it wasn't he okay. It happened when it was still a grocery store.
Mhm.
So it
But
didn't
why did
have
he do it in the grocery store?
uh, probably because he was stressed out. Probably because he was suffering from depression. Like nobody really knows. So it
Mm,
was just like it was more of like his own thing. Like only he would know why he did it.
well, yeah, of course.
Nobody was like, from what I've read, like he wasn't like too social.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. He became a manager, but he did that, and it's just like maybe there were things that happened in his life that nobody really understood, or it's just like depression got to him or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, it's crazy though. Oh my goodness.
They
Couldn't
kept the
even imagine.
hallway just because that's Floyd's hallway. He walked up and down the
Yeah, you
hallway
know
all the
what,
time.
that's probably what it is.
That's
That's
literally why they didn't
probably what
block it
it
off.
is. Yeah.
Just so he had
When he's
access.
not pushing things, he's walking up around his hallway.
Literally.
What got to me was the fact that she showed, like, B showed me the clip of the spatula, and I was just like, that is insane.
Yeah.
He wanted pizza. Nobody was there to make him one.
Y'all suck.
He's like, oh, cool. It used to be a store, and now it's a pizza place. I get pizza.
He's like, I'm living the dream. Or, well,
Well, dang, you didn't have to do that. I'm sorry,
I wasn't trying to do
Floyd.
him like that. I wasn't trying to do him like that.
We love you, Floyd. We
I
love
wasn't.
you.
I didn't mean it to come out like
Sorry,
that.
Floyd.
That didn't come out the way my head meant. I'm gonna just, yeah, we're okay. We're gonna leave that one there. It's mine. I didn't say that. We'll cut it out. We'll cut it out.
Kind of. Oh man,
That's crazy though.
that was one of them good stories though back in the day. No, but yeah, there was a lot that happened like just within the company itself. I can't really say just that store. There was a lot happening with the company itself and like a bunch of people that worked well at our home store. Like now I was talking to the guys and I was like, that's like one of the, I think there's only like 2 or 3 people that used to work with us that still work in that same store. Um Not the Arlington one, but the home store one. And we were just like, dang, that's crazy. Like, and they're like, you know, it's like mom and like the technician. And we were just like, maybe we should go back and like try and help out mom as much as possible. But then we were just like, but see, the thing is, it's not going to be as fun as it used to be because all of the OG employees are not there anymore. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be the same. And so we were just like, dang. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There were a lot of crazy stories that I had with mom. I remember this one time, dude, mom was a badass. Oh, let me tell you.
Oh.
So she had, okay, so she was the type of person that, like, now she's at an age where she's like whatever, right? But if she were younger, like, she would beat you up. Like, if you gave her like the wrong impression. So like,
Yeah.
I remember she gave us a story. She told us a story. So mom, if you're ever listening, remember, I'm changing your name, but I'm still gonna keep the story original. Um, so she was telling me that she was still working for, like, she first started working with the company, and this she was a cashier, I believe, at the time. And so she just got like, she was like ready to go this one time. She was like finishing up her shift or whatever, and I guess this lady came up to her and was like angry about her food or something. um in the end, it just like, it got to the point where the lady started yelling at her. And so then she's like, I'm standing my ground. I'm not gonna let her yell at me like that. If she wants to be treated that way, then I'll treat her back that way. So, she essentially started yelling back at her, blah blah blah. Well, it got to the point where she said that, because at the time she was wearing like a tank top under her shirt, her work shirt. So she clocked out, took off her work shirt. She said, let's go outside. And
Shit.
she was like, let's go outside. Like, let's fix this outside. Like, not in here, but outside. So she was like, yeah, like, I threw punches at her. And like, essentially her husband like had to come over and like pull her off of the lady, because they were really going at it. And I was just like, mom, like, why would you do that? Like, why? Like, I understand, like, like, if she would say some names and whatnot, and she, like, insulted you and something, but like, she was only angry about her food. Just give her free food. She was like, no, it wasn't like, it was more of like, at the time we just all wanted some respect, and nobody would give us any respect. And so it was at the point that we just needed to just either fight it out, or one of us had to walk out of the conversation. And I wasn't going to walk out of the conversation. And I was like, okay, mom, I see you. But uh she's the type of person, I love her. She's awesome. She's the type of person that, if you get yelled at, or if you're ready to fight somebody, like, she'll be there to stop you, but she's also going to defend your ass.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, cuz she's like you. She's like you, Allie. Like, she's like the customer's never, like, is not always right.
Yeah.
So we got to put them in their place. So, you know, I'm the type, like, because of her, I learned all of those things. Like, never comply with a customer that you know is wrong. Like, if you have to, stand your ground. And it's just like, because of her, I was able to get out of that shy first timer into, like, stand your ground type of bitch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she was definitely, if you ever, like, went to work there and she was there, just know that you were in good hands, because she's awesome.
That's nice. It's always nice to have somebody like that at
Oh
a,
yeah,
at a
no,
job.
for sure, for sure. I think
Or,
all the
well,
other
anywhere, I
managers
guess,
were
but
like they don't. Oh, that's the thing about the other managers, man. They never stood their ground. Like, they knew the customer's wrong, but they still would give away their free, like, shit that is free.
Yeah,
And it's just like,
I hate spineless managers.
exactly. And it's just like, I hated doing that. Like, like, the GM would be like, just give them the free thing, the free whatever. And I'm like, no, because it's like, it's telling them that it's okay to come back and keep yelling at our cashiers, keep yelling at our party hosts, keep
Yeah,
yelling at our
exactly.
employees.
It's
And
enabling.
it's it's ridiculous. And it's just like,
Mhm.
I was like, you either stand your ground, or, if they want to never come back, then that's fine. We don't need their business. Like, we got millions of other like
Literally not
customers
gonna miss them.
across the world. Like, what do you want from me? And
I promise you I will go to sleep tonight and not remember them.
exactly, I was like, I got so mad at the GM for, like, being like, just give them their free stuff, and, like, tell them to, like, give us a 5-star rating. Like, what? It doesn't matter. Like, one survey isn't gonna affect, like the
Yeah.
500 that we have on that day. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It really pissed me off with those other managers.
Yeah, it's like, fuck their rating. It shouldn't matter because y'all should be doing good enough service that you get better
Exactly.
ratings anyways. So their 1 star isn't gonna do shit.
Yeah. And the thing is,
Your
what
shit
bothers
shouldn't rely on ratings anyways.
me is that people like attack the first timers, like when it's their first time at this job, or it's their first job ever, and it's just like you feel like you have the authority to gang up on them and then just kind of like yell at them till they cry type thing, and it's just like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Ugh.
entirely.
I remember this one manager. Okay, look, I was okay with this manager. Like, I liked her. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call her S because that's her initial.
Okay.
So when I first started, S was pretty cool. She was pretty chill. Like, everybody loved her, right? And you know, she was one of the young managers, so she was like the second youngest. And you know, she was pretty chill. You could tell her, you know, things and like whatever. So at the time, like I said, it was my first time like ever working, and especially in like that store. Um so when I first started, like, I'm the type of person that if I'm working, I want to continue working, and if I don't want a break, I'm not going to take it. Like, you know, obviously it's like Texas law, Texas rule, you have to take at least a 15-minute break.
Yeah.
I did not give a shit. I did not take a break. So,
No.
I remember this one time I was opening with her, and you know, she was going through the schedule with me. Like, she was teaching me, like, she was like, I know you're gonna be good, and one day you're gonna be a manager, so I'm gonna teach you all this stuff already. And I was like, bet. So she taught me all like the scheduling stuff and whatnot. So she was going through the schedule with me, and so then I was like, I see I have to take a 30-minute break. I don't want to today. Can I just not take one? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. Don't take one. Just, you know, whatever. And I was like, bet.
Yeah.
So I wrote the schedule like on the board. Like, she had me write it on the board, and I was like, ooh, I feel special. Anyways, so I wrote the schedule and I erased my 30-minute, and I was like, fuck it. Like, you know, she gave me the okay. I don't need to worry about it. Later, like an hour or two later, the GM comes in, and he's like looking at the board, just trying to get like an idea of who's doing what. And he goes, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, what's up? And then he goes, I see that you don't have your 30-minute break up there. What's going on? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, you need your 30-minute break. You need to take your 30-minute break. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I don't want one today. Like, I you know, I talked to S, and she said that it was okay not to have one. And then he was like, okay. So then he walks off, goes to talk to her, and then comes back to me, right? And he goes, well, she just said that you had said that you were just not going to take one. You didn't ask. And I was like, that's not true, because I asked her, like, I told her, hey, is it okay if I don't take one today? And she was like, no, yeah, that's fine. You cannot take one. You can just erase it. And then he was like, okay. And so then I was just like, he just like went into his office. So I went over to her and I was like, hey, what did you tell him just now? Because he's like questioning me as if I'm like lying or some shit. And he said that I didn't ask you to not take a 30-minute, like, to like go ahead and erase it. He said that I just told you I wasn't going to take one. And she was like, no, I told him that you asked me. And I said, no, that's fine. And I was like, okay.
Who's
Later,
lying?
yeah, I was like, so who the hell's lying here? Like, who is who's doing a little cheatsy doodle? Anyways, so I later come to find out that she actually lied.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like, I was
Interesting.
okay with you, now I'm kind of not. So now I'm gonna like,
Yeah.
you know, push myself away. But that's when I started going with mom. Like, that's when I, like, you know, mom was teaching me all of the stuff, and then turns out that S liked to say a lot of things that weren't true.
Interesting.
And then I was just like, that's crazy. And like at the time I was like skeptical and I was like, I don't know, maybe, maybe not. Um so so then like when I became manager like a year later, um the GM would be like, cuz like I would ask him questions, right? And I was like, "Hey, what about S? Like what was she like?" Right? Just trying to get some background on him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, she lied most of the time. Like she would tell you these stories
Yeah.
for you to believe when none of that really happened." And I was like, "Dang, okay."
Imagine that being like what you're known by. How much you lied. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and it's just like, like maybe I don't know if the kitchen guys, I feel like my kitchen friends would agree with me. There are some times that she would say things and it's just like none of it really happened, turned out. Um which I mean, like, okay, I get why you want to lie just to kind of make yourself seem cooler, but you were already cool as it was. Like you didn't really have to lie about nothing in order to become cool or whatever.
Yeah.
Because her personality was pretty cool. Like her personality herself was like nice to be around. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it was just like, and you know what? That reminds me. I'm sorry, I got one more story and then I'm done.
No, no, you're good.
That reminds me. So remember how I said that she was the second youngest manager. So the youngest, like the baby manager that we had was my manager of my area that I worked in. Um and I remember this one time the G, her name is G. G left her phone on like next to the table by the party area, and a kid, little boy, came over and grabbed it, right? And she wasn't there, so he grabbed it. And one of the party hostess came over and was like, "Oh, hey, look, that's not your phone. Like, let me have that back." Um, and so then she took it to the office, but when she took it to the office, S was there. And she was like, "Hey, G left her phone on the table, like always, like she forgets it like always. Um, can you give it to her?" And she was like, "Yeah, but let's teach her a lesson this time so that way she knows not to leave her phone wherever she wants to, because if not, she's going to get it stolen and something's going to happen and it's just not going to be pretty, right?" So, her idea of teaching her a lesson was to hide her phone, and when she came to ask for it, like she would have to come and ask, like, "Where's my phone? Like, has anybody seen my phone?" Turns out G was having a bad day that day, and I had only came in to help her with paperwork, to help G with paperwork. So I was like, it was like whatever for me, right? um so so then, she like started, I just saw G come out of like the back room and was like, "What the fuck?" Like she was like freaking out. And she started looking everywhere and I was like, "Hey, are you good?" And she was like, "Yeah, I lost my phone. I don't know where my phone is." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll help you find it," right? And um I started walking around and then I go to the office and I knock on the door and S is like, "Yeah, come in." And so like, I was like, "Hey, have you seen G's phone? Like she lost it." And she's like, really worried. She's like, she said that she's got some stuff on there that is important for her school and whatnot. Um and she was like, "Oh, close the door." And I was like, "Okay." I closed the door and she goes, "G's been really like G has been acting really bitchy to all of us today, and she left her phone on the table like over there, right?" And she was like, "I just thought of teaching her a lesson and, see if she would ask for her phone nicely instead of bitching at everybody, and I would tell her where the phone is, and that way she would stop leaving her phone everywhere." And I was like, "Okay, but like why not just tell her that she was being bitchy and that she should just apologize?" And then she was like, "No, because here for some reason she's just really that type of person that will not apologize." And I was just like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "All right, so like do me a favor, don't tell me where the phone is, because I don't want to be in the middle of this. Like I'm not here to like get on her bad
Yeah.
side. I'm here to try and help her finish paperwork and I'm not going to do this, right?" And so
Mhm.
I go over to the party hostess that found the phone, and I was like, hey, I heard you found the phone. Like, don't tell me where it is. Like, I already know what's going on. But, like, why are you in, like, why did you, like, like, go along with her plan? And she was like, well, because she started yelling at me because she accused me of stealing the phone. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. um, so then, G came over and was like, hey, have you seen my phone? Like, did you find it? And I was like, I actually have no idea where it is. But if I were you, I'd ask S.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she was like, fine, whatever, right? So she goes over, and I'm just like out. I'm just out by the tables, just like finishing up the paperwork so I can get the fuck out there. I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I just want to finish and go home. And then I just see G walk out. Like, she just clocks out and walks out. And I'm like, she wasn't supposed to do that because she was supposed to tell me how to finish this last page. And so I text her and I'm like, hey, like, you left and you were supposed to teach me how to do this last page. And she was like, we'll do that some other day. And I was like, okay, but like, the GM is gonna get angry because you didn't get this page done. So then I go over to S and I'm like, hey, what happened? And she goes, well, she came in here and she started bitching already. And I was like, if you ask nicely, maybe one of the girls will give it to you, like, give you your phone back. And she started, bitching and like saying like why do I do this to her and blah blah blah. And I was telling her how she was like, she should ask for things nicely, then maybe she'd get her shit back, and she wouldn't get attitude from me or any of the girls. And maybe it'll teach her not to leave her phone everywhere, like forget her shit. But she just like, I guess she just like got angry or whatever, and she just like dipped. I was like, yeah, she just walked out, like she clocked out and left. And she was like, she clocked out? And I was like, yeah. Like, you didn't see her walk out? She was like, no, I honestly wasn't paying attention to the cameras. And so then she was like, she wasn't supposed to clock out yet, but I mean, whatever.
I'm dead.
So the next day I talked to S. No, sorry. 3 days later I talked to S and I was like, hey, so like, what happened? That because I don't see you or her talking anymore. And she was like, well, she turns out that she bitched over at the GM. And I was about to say his name. Anyways, she bitched over at him, and she was like S is doing too much, and she's already, she's getting on my nerves, and she's getting me like pissed off every day now. This and this happened, like blah blah blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then S goes, oh, by the way, he might want to ask you what happened because you were here that day helping her with the paperwork. And I was like, fuck it, whatever, I'll tell him the truth, right?
Yeah.
So then he calls me into the office and he's like, I don't really need to ask you what happened because like I've already heard both sides of the story, but he's like, I just want to like, what are your thoughts of what happened, right? And I was like, well, I mean, I guess like first, yeah, I get it, like she wants to teach her like how to be nice because she was pretty bitchy like all the time. But she wanted her just to like learn how to be nice, and like help her understand that she shouldn't leave her phone everywhere. But I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I didn't want to be a part of this, so that's why I just didn't like continue with her plan or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that's something for you to fix because these are your managers. I don't know what you calling me in for. Like, I was like, this is your team. Like, you gotta fix this.
Right.
And he was like, well, no, I understand. Like, whatever. I just wanted to see how like you felt in the situation because it's like, because at some point I want to make you manager and like I want you to understand how like to fix situations like this and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm not there yet, so don't tell me. So,
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Like, don't bring me into this. Anyways, So yeah, like I think at that point they ended up just not talking for like the rest of the time that S was there. And
Yeah.
S essentially had to move out, like out of state. So she went to her back to her home state. Um and she's now like a GM to like a different store there, which is pretty cool. Um and then G just like she stayed, taught me everything that I needed to be taught to become a manager because she was already leaving, so they were gonna put me as a replacement. Uh, and she dipped, and then I was just like, "That's crazy." Like, they just never
That's
talked again.
crazy.
Like they literally had me be like they literally had me as a messenger for them too. Like S would tell me like, "Go tell G this," and I'm like, why don't you tell her?
You tell her.
And then she would be like, go tell S this. I don't want to talk to her. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, for sure. It was just like, but I mean, when S left, we got a pretty cool, like, chill manager. His name is N. Almost said his name too, but but he's pretty cool. I love him. I ended up just like having a good relationship with the managers there. Except for the GM. Nobody liked him.
Yeah. It'd be like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, come on. Does anybody ever really like their GMs? Come on.
Shit, I didn't.
I know.
So
I know.
I'm not the one to ask.
But yeah, no.
I hated all these bitches.
Shoot, if I had the guys here, they would be like telling you all these other stories. I'm not gonna continue though, because we're already getting to that point. I was literally about to start another one, and I was like, wait,
can't do that. It's alright.
I'm like hitting my mouth, like shut up.
No.
Stop going. Stop begging.
No, but yeah,
You
those
gotta
were
save those.
the days, man. There was a lot happening, and I mean, there
Crazy.
was a lot of good things that happened though too. Like I
Yeah,
met a
of
lot of good
course.
people. You know, they were pretty good employees. I was so proud of mine, especially from my area. I was like, y'all are doing great. Keep on going, buddies. But yeah, it was a pretty fun time to work there, but you know, it was a little bit stressful because it's like you're dealing with like kids and like annoying people. Anyways,
Yeah, that's crazy.
but yeah, that's my stories. I'll stop it there.
Crazy stories.
But so on Wednesday, since last Wednesday we missed out on the paranormal stories last Wednesday, we're gonna move that over to tomorrow. No, to
Oh God.
The next time.
for the next time. So this Wednesday, we've all got our stories, correct? Okay, so
Yeah, I got mine.
do we want to give them like the titles of our stories or no?
I mean,
Or do we just wait?
I mean, I'm okay with whichever, honestly. Like the titles is fine. I mean,
All right.
adds mystery.
It does. Mo, what
Yes.
story do you have for us on Wednesday?
I have there's this location here in Houston. I decided to do a place that I went to twice actually. And it's called Patterson Road. I'm not about to go into deep details because obviously I'm saving that for Wednesday.
Obviously.
Mhm.
But it's not as scary as like this other place I went to, but the experience that I went, especially the second time,
Mhm.
was like, why the fuck did I do that? That it was like
Yeah.
insanely creepy. But
I'm excited.
yeah. Which ones do you guys have?
Well, mine is something that I looked up. It's someone's like own kind of personal story.
Ooh. Okay.
So they kind of came out and they gave their own story. So mine is off of their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously also not going to go into detail, but mine is called The Woman in White.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Kat.
Well, I've got I'm doing the Winchester Winchester house. I can't remember if it's like mansion or house. But yeah, it's I learned a lot more while I was researching, and I was just like, that's crazy. Like, I didn't think any of this stuff would happen. But yeah. But yeah, we've got pretty good stories coming up on Wednesday. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday at 9 a.m. sharp.
Week.
Here is where we end our episode.
Oh,
what happened?
Oh yeah, no, Ellie had a question for us.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Never mind. We're not ending it. What happened? My bad.
It's okay. It's okay. It was an hour and a half ago. You were talking. You weren't thinking about it. It was something small, but it's fine.
Okay. Oh,
so,
you're right. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. Tell me. Tell us.
It's okay.
I want to know. I want to know.
Okay, so this is for everybody except for the person it concerns, because obviously both of us know what it's about. So he is not allowed to say anything in chat.
It's the
Shut up. He is not allowed to say anything in chat.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for everybody else, though. Everybody else in chat and you guys can try to guess what the heck these hints are hinting towards.
Okay.
All right, so let me give a little background.
It's like you calling him out.
So basically, he went to go do some stuff, and he came back. He had gone like by the store, and so he came back, and he came into the room, and he was like, "I got you something," and he was like, "Come see what it is." And I was like in bed, and I was like still kind of tired, and I was like very warm and comfy, and it was cold in here, and the heat wasn't on yet. So I was like, I don't want to get up yet. Like, nah, you just tell me what it is. Just tell me what it is. And so he was like trying to get me to go into the living room, and I was like, no, just tell me. So then he comes in and he brings me like a Reese's cup, like 2 package thing. And I was like, is this what you got me? And he was like, just come see. And I was like, did you just get me like a pile of Reese's cups? And he was like, just come see. And I was like, I don't want to get up. And back and forth. 5 minutes later, he comes in with another Reese's cups, and I was like, okay, seriously, what did you get me?
Uh-oh.
And he was like, no, you just come see. And so I like roll over, and I'm like, I'm not getting up. I'm being stubborn. You know, I want him to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, fine, give me hints, and I'll guess, and then I'll go get up and see if I was right, whatever.
Okay, I gotta mentally prepare.
And
this.
so, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna try to give them in the order he gave them to me, if I can remember.
Okay.
So his first hint, this was supposed to narrow it down, by the way.
Okay.
His first hint was, I haven't had it since I left Texas.
You haven't had it since you left Texas.
Yeah, I haven't had it since being here.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I was like, I don't know if I want to say that. Hold on.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like,
let me type it in.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, I haven't had it since I left.
Oh, well, never mind. I was gonna say this, but never mind. That doesn't apply because you've had it
not
too long ago.
I had it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that recently.
Okay.
So I'm laying there and I'm like, I don't get it. I'm confused. And he's like, how do you not get it? And he was like, it narrowed it down. And I was like, to absolutely nothing. There are a bajillion things I haven't had since I got here. And he's like, yeah, but it's like, you haven't had it since you've been here. And like, you would have had it before, but like, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so he goes, I was like, give me another hint. And he goes, okay. It's shiny on one side.
Bro, what?
And I was like,
shiny on one side.
I haven't had it since I left,
Mm-hmm.
and it's shiny on one side.
Okay.
Still confused.
Nothing comes to my mind.
Right?
Nothing.
You're sitting here and you're like, completely
We're
blank.
for sure.
Shiny on one
We're like for
side.
sure we would know this.
Yeah, for sure, everybody here
Oh
would know what
my
this is.
god.
What the
Oh man.
Okay.
So it's shiny on one side, and I haven't had it since I've left.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, I'm still not there. Like, what are we talking about? So I was like, because he had brought in the Reese's, I was like, is it candy?
Mhm.
And he was like, well, like, define candy. And I was like, well, you know,
Okay.
like those, like I pointed to the Reese's Cups and I was like, well, like those or like lollipops. And he was like, okay, well, technically over here, that would be called like sweets. Like they don't really call things candy. And like sweets are certain things, and then there's like chocolates, but it's like sweets. And so he was like, okay, well, regardless, no, it's not candy, no, it's not sweets. But it's edible.
But it's edible? Okay.
But it's
Edible.
edible.
Edible,
No,
shiny
it's
on one
candy.
side, and you haven't
Not
had
candy, but it's edible. It's shiny on one side, and I haven't had it since I left. I'm like, huh? What the fuck are we talking about? I'm still so confused.
it. Okay. That's
So
what, the
he
third
goes-
one? That's the third hint. Okay.
Yeah, that's the third hint. So then he goes, he was like, it can either come by itself in 6 or in 12. And if it's 12, you can have all of the same or like different ones.
Donuts?
And I was like, by itself. In 6 or in 12. It's shiny on one side. I haven't had it since I left, and it's not candy.
Well, okay, yeah. Do they not have donuts over there?
They do have donuts.
They do
Everywhere
have
has
donuts.
donuts.
So never mind. It might not be donuts. Cause like
So those
yeah, I was
candies
thinking like they were saying just now is
Well, no.
donuts because
not
of
a
the
sweet.
glaze.
I was thinking
Glaze
like
being
Ferrero
shiny, but-
Rocher, that those or whatever they're called.
The little
those
chocolates, yeah.
candies.
Oh
The
no.
The Ferrero Rocher or whatever, yeah.
However you say it.
At this point, he's like, "You're gonna kick yourself in the face when you figure it out," and I'm like,
Oh man.
"I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is."
Okay, so it's
He's
not
trying to get
donuts.
me to get the exact thing, right?
Okay.
So he goes, "It's 2 words." I was like, "It's two words." I'm
You can
laying
have
there
it by itself
so
in 6
fucking
or 12.
confused.
What?
It's 2 words. You can have it 1, 6, or 12. If it's 12, you can have it all different or all the same. It's shiny on one side. It's edible, but it's not candy. And I haven't had it since I left Texas.
What the
Right?
frick? Okay.
I'm so fucking lost.
I'm
And
lost
he-
too. I thought it was a donut.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, I haven't had it since I left. It's shiny on one side. Like, I'm thinking like aluminum on one side, like it's wrapped in something like halfway. And then I was like, what the
Right.
fuck is halfway wrapped? Like, shiny on one side. Like,
Ferrero.
yeah, like the shiny on one side is fucking me up at this point. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are we talking about? And then he goes, his next hint.
Oh my god.
He goes, I was like, okay, fine. It's 2 words. What does the first word start with, right?
Uh-huh.
And he goes, the first word starts with a K. A K?
Okay.
Do you know how many things in this world start with a K that are 2 words? Huh? I'm lost. Just
Okay.
even more as we go on, lost. And then he goes, I was like, all right, well, give me like, well, at first, no, he goes, I was like, give me what it starts with. And so he was like, well, the sound of like the first letter. And then he kissed my arm. And I was like, the sound of the first letter is a kiss? And I was like, Hershey's Kisses. And he was like, Hershey's Kisses? Hershey's starts with a K. And I was like, okay, that's obviously wrong. Okay,
Oh my
whatever.
God.
I was like, bro, what the fuck are we talking about? And then he goes, okay, I'll give you one and you should get it with this one. And I was like, okay, we'll see. And he goes, I wouldn't recommend putting this type on your finger.
Ayo? What? Wait.
That's what I...
Hold on.
And I'm like, you wouldn't recommend putting this type on your finger? And I was like, I'm like racking my brain and I'm like, okay. And I was like, okay, a candy? no, not a candy, but it's edible. You wouldn't put it on your finger. I was like, a ring? But I was like, that's not edible. And he was like, you're on track with the ring thing. And I was like,
Oh my
I'm on track with the
God.
ring thing? The
Okay.
fuck are you talking about? I'm on
Was
track
it
with the
Chris-
ring thing. It's 2 words. One of them starts with K at this point. It's not a candy, but it's edible. I haven't
Oh!
had it since I left. It's shiny on one side. 1, 6, or 12. I'm like, what the fuck?
Okay, look.
He tells me that the second word starts with K. I lay there for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
thinking about it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
Well, somebody just said it
Well-
in chat, so Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Whole
donuts!
time he's talking about Krispy Kreme fucking donuts.
Are you freaking kidding me?
But you put it together. He was like, yeah, like the glaze is shiny. And I was like,
It's
barely.
not shiny. Like,
Barely.
It depends on which one you get, dude. It literally
Like,
depends on
yeah.
which one you get, because you can get.
Okay, well, for
like,
me, he got me glazed. So he's talking about specifically what he got me. But in my
Okay.
brain, I have no clue what's sitting in the living room. And so I'm like, all of these hints going through my brain. And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? I haven't had it since I left for Texas. It's shiny on since I left from Texas, sorry. It's shiny on one side. It comes by itself in 6 or 12.
You
if you get
literally could have
12,
said
it's
donuts, and
different one.
it wouldn't have made a difference.
Huh?
I said you literally could have said donuts, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Like, it wouldn't
What do you
matter
mean?
if it was Krispy Kreme or not.
Well, yeah, but like I didn't even get donuts. Like, I was so fucking lost. All of his hints were just going over my head. I was like, what are we
the one
talking
that
about?
really fucks with you is the one where it's like, oh, it's shiny on one side.
That's
Sir.
what got me so
Yeah.
fucking long. I was like, shiny on one side. Shiny on one side. Like, whole time I'm thinking something wrapped in aluminum halfway, and I'm like, shiny on one side. Shiny on one side. It's not a candy. It's ring shaped. It's edible. Haven't had it since I
shiny
left.
part.
1, 6, 12. It was the shiny and the
It's
1,
the fact
6, or
that he
12,
said
and I
you
was
haven't
like,
had it since you left.
yeah.
What?
And then he was
There's
like,
a lot of things
the
you haven't had since you left.
literally. And then he was like, yeah, the first word starts with, and then kiss my arm, and I was like, kiss. It's not Krispy Kreme. It's crispy. In what world does the cr sound make a sound? In what fucking world does that make that fucking sound? In no world.
Oh
Not-
my
In
God.
no fucking sound. In no fucking world does cr make no, like what?
Krispy Kreme.
His hints were not good at all.
Well, Kiss and Chris are the two separate things. Like
Literally.
entirely.
And I just wanted to see if anybody else was going to be as stumped as me, because like I got it without him telling me. Like, I did get it, but I was like, I needed 8 fucking hints, and what was throwing me off was the shiny on one side, the amounts that you could get it in, and the, because I was like, what the fuck starts with and it's a K. It's 2 words and it's a K. At this point, that's all I knew. I didn't know the second letter of the second word.
And see, what was throwing
was
you
like-
off too was the Reese's cups.
Yeah, and then he brought those into the room, and I was like, it's not that. Okay. And then it was like, I haven't had it since I left. And then when I figured it out, I told him, I was like, I barely had these when I was in Texas. So I also wasn't gonna get where the fuck we were going, because I didn't really
Oh,
eat
yeah,
Krispy
no.
Kreme prior to leaving.
I've never really had Krispy Kreme either. I like Shipley's better because Krispy Kreme is more like dry to me, but Shipley's is like they
Yeah.
always make their
Yeah.
donuts fresh. Like as soon as you buy it, it's just
Yeah, I'm not
fresh,
really a
hot.
donut person though, so
I'm
no.
not
That's
a
also
big fan
another
of
thing.
Krispy Kreme. I've had it once, and I'm
Mm-mm.
just like, never again.
I've had it a few times, but I told him, I was like, well, if you were dating my best friend who like constantly gets Krispy Kreme with her family, these would have been great hints. She would have gotten it
Oh,
because she did eat it before she would have come here.
Me?
Me?
You're getting called
I
out
did
in the
not.
chat.
yeah, he's calling you out.
I actually didn't. I just said that I liked glazed donuts. I never said
That's
specifically
crazy.
Krispy Kreme.
Look,
So
she's
wrong.
not saying she doesn't appreciate it. She appreciates
No, I love
the
them.
fact that
I've
you
already
got
had
her.
half of them, but I've never said specifically that I liked Krispy Kreme, like glazed donuts. I just said that I liked glazed donuts, which is true. I'll eat glazed donuts from everywhere. But like, I've never specifically only gotten Krispy Kreme, and I didn't really eat Krispy Kreme like that when I was back home. So I'm literally just there like for 15 minutes, like, what the fuck am I supposed to be guessing right now? I was also stuck on the finger thing. She was like, I wouldn't recommend putting this type on your finger. And I was
It's
like,
like, what the fuck are you talking about?
you wouldn't recommend putting it on your finger. Right. So confused the whole time. I just wanted to see if anybody else would take as long to get it.
What the fuck do you? You got me
Because I
Jupiter's
struggle.
ring. Perfect. Thank you.
It was like, it's edible, but it's a ring. What?
Oh man.
If they didn't say it in chat, I never would have gotten it.
Yeah, I honestly was like
See,
reading the chat and I was
literally.
like, wait. I was like donuts, right? Because it's like cuz somebody had said donuts and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that makes sense. Like 612 by itself, whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, but the glaze, I don't know if the glaze is like shiny though, because it's like,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
then
saying.
and
Like,
then
you
he
don't
said
think
like
of
shiny
glaze
on
as
one side, and I
shiny.
was like,
Yeah,
like,
and that's what's fucking me up because it's not only half the donut
yeah,
either.
it's like
It's
sometimes
like
the
kind of
whole
on the other
thing.
side. Yeah, or the whole. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if Mimo didn't say anything, you guys would have still been here. Like, what the fuck are we
Yeah,
guessing?
exactly.
That's
was
what I
like-
was doing. I had no help. I didn't have a Mimo. I didn't have a Mimo. I had myself in my slightly tired brain.
Well,
I'm
as
just
an-
glad I'm not the only one who wouldn't have gotten that. That's just all I wanted to do. We can wrap things up now because we've gone a little bit.
I
my
did
God.
want to do like a quick mention before we ended the stream. This morning, well, I mean, I've already told you girls, but I wanted to tell the listeners. This
Mhm.
morning I was updating the cover art for the podcast on Spotify, and I noticed that the numbers were a little weird, a little bit bigger than the last that I saw. We've got a total of 14 plays, so people have been listening to the podcast on Spotify, and we've got a whole 7 followers on Spotify. So thank you guys very much. Really appreciate all of the support and the love. You guys are awesome. We
so
actually have some
exciting.
extra views. I checked on YouTube as well. We have some extra views on YouTube. We've got a couple of followers there too. Thank you again for all of the love and the support. Really appreciate it. We want to continue this podcast for as long as we can. This is a thing that we've been wanting to do for a good while, and now that we're doing it, we really can't believe it, but we're here, and I expect for this to go on forever. Obviously not, because like we're not gonna live forever. We're not eternal here, but
Forever depending.
forever
Basically.
depending, you know.
Yeah.
But
As
yeah,
long as we
so
can.
clumsy can. What do you mean clumsy can? Anyways,
Huh?
I heard clumsy can, and I was like, wait, what?
I didn't say that.
Okay. Anyways, so here we're ending the episode here. So thank you for allowing us to be part of your day. We really appreciate it. And we hope to catch you on the next one.
Puffs out.